Good evening. We'll just give everybody a chance to jump in. Sometimes when there's a big lineup, like outside the music hall in the Danforth, it takes a few minutes to get everybody into the venue. Thanks. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our online community meeting. I'm City Councillor Paula Fletcher, hosting tonight with MPP Peter Tabuns and Public School Trustee Sara Ehrhardt. And this is part of our series on Metrolinx Ontario line. And we can see things growing and being built every day throughout Ward 14. There's, I think, 5 stations and a lot going on. So we're very happy tonight to be able to show you a whole number of things. I'm going to leave the land acknowledgement because Metrolinx has a presentation and they'll be making that land acknowledgement when they do that. I'm just going to say that tonight you can put your questions, suggestions, everything in the Q&A. We don't use the chat here. We're going to go in segments. There's 4 different things we'll be discussing. I'll look for some of the questions that can be answered at the end of each part of that presentation. And I think that this is a very informative deck that we've got here tonight. Looking for your suggestions, your feedback, and as always, I think Metrolinx is looking for that as well. So I'm just going to introduce our panelists. That'll be MPP Peter Tabuns. You can see Peter, Sara Ehrhardt, Public School Trustee. We have Kelly Hagan here, VP of Metrolinx, and quite a few people from Metrolinx, Sycat Basak from Metrolinx, Phil Rodriguez from Metrolinx, and Chris Jacobson from Metrolinx. And we have Transportation Services, Navi Tathgar and Sheikh Adam and Derek Teugel from the city. We have a transportation office here for transit expansion, and they're here with us tonight. And I don't think I missed anybody. Peter and Sara, would you like to say a quick hello tonight?
Yeah, I would, Paul, if you don't mind. Thanks very much for having me on this on this panel. I appreciate you pulling this all together. I think for people in the community, this is going to be a very big step. I think the number of trucks coming through is going to be noticed, and having a plan in advance to address the concerns that people are going to be coming up against is really important. I'm looking forward to what Metrolinx presents. I know people will have concerns about traffic levels. Let's see what can be done to minimize those concerns so that everyone is able to experience this next phase of Metrolinx development or construction with as much safety as possible. Thanks, Paul. Look forward to other questions and comments.
Thank you. Sara, do you want to say a quick hi?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Sara Ehrhardt. I'm still your elected public school trustee, and I'm happy to see the names of attendees showing up on my screen. I appreciate having these meetings virtually as a parent, but I would like to see people in person again as well someday. I think it. As a parent, I'm looking at this with the eyes of what does this mean for how I and my family will be navigating around our community? How will we be getting to school? How will we be getting to aftercare? How will we be getting to our swim lessons or the other activities or our appointments throughout the community? And so I have seen at different construction liaison committees, because I do try to attend as many as I can, around the construction impacts throughout our community. I've seen piecemeal, and I'm really hoping that we'll get a picture of how this adds up and what best practices are Metrolinx putting in place within our community to keep all of us as safe as possible. while this is happening. And so I'm happy we're doing this, and I look forward to receiving the information. And thanks very much, Councillor Fletcher and MPP Tabuns, for continuing to champion information sharing and safety in our community.
Thanks so much. Before we start, we're just going to do a little poll so we know who is here with us tonight. And if you've been to these meetings before, you know that. We're just going to find out where you live closest to: Minton, Cosburn, Bain Emergency Exit, Pape Station, Pape School, Gerard Portal, Riverside, just in Toronto-Danforth, but nowhere near the Ontario line, and outside of Toronto-Danforth. So please start answering those questions. And then that's a single choice. Can't live more than one place. How did you hear about the meeting? Flyer, email, social media, word of mouth, other. And we'd like to know if you've been at these meetings before, if you've attended any Ontario Line meetings previously, or perhaps it's your first meeting. And if it is, we welcome you. And your relationship to the neighborhood from those locations earlier is: I live here, I work here, my kids go to school here, I shop here, other. And you can put down as many as covers you. And we'll just let you take a second to answer those questions. We have about 75% of you have answered that. We have about 150 people with us tonight to learn about these haul routes and safety plan and get your suggestions and ideas from that. And we'll give you another 20 seconds, and then we'll let you know. We'll all know who's here. Okay, I'll end it. Okay, we're going to end that, and then we'll find out who's here. That is the first question. Who is here? Well, we've got a really good distribution of people, but Pape Station takes the cake, and Gerard Portal right behind. And then how you found out: from email, some from the flyer, social media, word of mouth. Have you attended before? 65% of you have, and 35% it's your first meeting. So really and truly welcome. I'm looking forward to hearing what you think at the end. And here's everybody. You live here, you work here, your kids are here, you shop here. Very, very involved in the neighborhood. So thanks so much. Now, we all know all the great residents that are attending tonight. We're going to move now to a presentation by Metrolinx, but I'm first just going to put up the slide because I think that we all know that unfortunately there was an incident. Oh, there was an incident in February where we had a truck go off the haul route and really injured someone. And then recently a truck also went off the haul route. Metrolinx has dealt with that very quickly, but that's of interest in how come they're going off the haul route. So Kelly, you'll be able to talk more about that and what the commitment for the haul route. We did ask, the city did ask, could you please get a haul route plan that you've tabled with the city for using our roads? And you're here to talk about that tonight. So I'd like to just turn this over to you, Kelly Hagan, Vice President of Community Engagement for Metrolinx. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Councillor. Thank you, MPP Tabuns and Sara. It's really nice to see all of you again. And for those of you who have taken time out of your evening from your families and what you are typically doing, I really appreciate you being here to hear what we have to say, but also for us to hear from you. So let's start with our land acknowledgement. I know that each of us kind of acknowledge the land we're on in various different ways. This is the land acknowledgement that Metrolinx, given the territories in which we operate our services in. So maybe I'll just take a moment and let our audience reflect on the words on the screen for a second. And then maybe if we can advance the slide, the reason why we're here tonight is it's rooted in safety. And Metrolinx has a commitment and does live and breathe safety in the work that we do every day. We have lots of trains we're operating, lots of customers we're moving. We have lots of construction sites around the city, and safety is something that is really important and valuable to us. And it's important that we reflect on that in our day-to-day work. Metrolinx does. If you've been to many of our meetings before, we always start meetings with a safety moment. And I felt appropriate to bring a safety moment here tonight about big vehicles and big trucks, and in particular concrete trucks. And we do know that those trucks do carry significant amount of blind spots. So we've just put here on this slide, happy to know the deck that we're sharing today will be shared, but there is a lot of blind spot zones that do occur around these vehicles. And I often, as a mom as well, like to say to my children, if you can't see the driver, they can't see you. So you need to make sure that you're keeping a lot of space. Yes, there's an absolute obligation that Metrolinx as the constructor and our contractors and drivers have to play as well, but just for all of us as we navigate around construction to make sure that we have our eyes up and we're paying attention to the blind spots. So maybe if we can just flip to the next slide after this one. Again, thank you for being here tonight. And the councillor, as she explained, we have 4 different sort of sections of here, what we really want to talk about. I have some of my colleagues here with me this evening. We are going to be speaking with you and sharing quite detailed information. And we know that it's really hard for everyone to absorb all of the information we're going to provide. But we're going to do our best to make it very clear for each of these sites what work we're doing, explaining very clearly the haul route map that is approved or that we're working towards, and all of the various different truck volumes, in addition to speaking very clearly site by site, what are the mitigations we're putting into place in coordination with our city colleagues. Every site can be dealt with differently, and we wanted to make sure that we were separating these for all of you on the phone. So if we flip to the next one, Councillor Fletcher did allude to the truck safety plan. So there's a little QR code in the bottom of the screen here. So I encourage you to pull out your phone and take a screen grab and go to the website where you can learn more in detail. This plan here is a framework that we've developed that we are holding all of our contractors accountable to adhere to. You know, we've got lots of different contractors doing various different levels of work at all of our sites. And with the effort we've done in coordination with our city colleagues, we have developed a framework that is guiding the decisions we're making alongside our contractors for how we show up to the construction sites in your community. It sets out clear kind of toolboxes, if you will, around mitigations. But again, as I said, it's really important that Metrolinx and our contractors are not just thinking there's only one way to mitigate. We actually have to look at the site itself and what is the mitigation that is required at each of those sites. So there is more detail on the website. I will offer that this framework also establishes mechanisms for when there is misbehavior that takes place on the haul route. And it does ensure that Metrolinx has the ability to investigate and hold our contractors and their drivers accountable if there is that misbehavior. So you can see our number at the bottom here. If in your neighborhood you ever have any questions or you see something, we always say, see something, say something. Please don't hesitate to call this number or email. And I can promise you that our team takes every single one of those to heart and investigate quite promptly. And flip to the next slide here, and we're going to get right into it so we can maximize our time on questions. So I have my colleague, Chris Jacobson. He's one of the VPs on the Ontario Line project. And Chris is going to start with just a little bit of an overview at the Gerrard portal, just so that we can level set, like what's actually happening there? Why do we have that site? What's going on and why is it important to the project?
Yeah, thanks, Kelly. And so that's what I'll do. I'll give you an overview of the work that we're undertaking at the 3 sites that we're going to talk about today, primarily being the Gerrard portal, the Bain emergency exit building, and the Cosburn station work. And then I'm going to ask my colleague, SiteCap Askett, to run you through the different mitigations, the haul routes, the truck volumes that we are projecting for the various work that we're doing at these locations. There's a lot of information on
Sorry,
these
Chris,
slides.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Sorry, just you'll be talking about the trucks for each location, not after it's over, correct? So,
At trucks at each location, correct?
yes, thank you. Just to
Yes.
clarify, I didn't
Yep.
quite hear that right. Thank you.
Yes, trucks at each location as we go through each of the individual sites. We'll talk about the truck haul routes. We'll talk about the numbers that are being projected at each site for the work that we're doing. As Kelly alluded, there's a lot of information on these slides. We are sharing the information with the public. So if something doesn't come up tonight, or you don't feel that you've had the opportunity to review all the information that's being presented, feel free to reach out to us at any time with any questions. We're happy to help. We're always here to answer your questions. So let's start with the Gerard portal. So at this location, we actually have 2 contracts that are being undertaken right now. One contract is for the excavation of the portal where our tunnel boring machines are actually going to launch along Pape Avenue. So they will start at Gerard Portal. They will tunnel underneath Pape Avenue, heading northbound to the Minton Portal, where they will come out of the side of the hill at the Don Valley Parkway, and then fly across the Don Valley Parkway on a bridge structure over into the Thorncliffe neighborhood. So the work that's being undertaken for that is we are installing what's called piles, or basically a retaining wall structure in and around where the portal will be. We will then be doing deep excavations, pulling dirt out of the ground to create the portal structure where the TBMs will actually launch and start their journey, as I say, from Gerard to the Minton Portal. So there's a lot of excavation tied to that, both in building the walls and then digging out the portal, which will generate a number of truck traffic that my colleague SciCat will get into momentarily. The other piece of work that's happening on this site is the construction of the Gerard station. So on the same site, same location, just off in the southwest corner of the site, where the grocery store used to be, will be the location of the new, or a portion of the new Gerard station. So there's similar work, secant piles or pile structures, retaining walls going in with some deep excavation happening for where the station itself will be constructed. So that's going to generate a number of truck trips over the next 4 years or so. So we have gone through working with our colleagues at City Transportation to develop a traffic mitigation plan for around the site, but also for the haul route that we are proposing. So I'm going to ask SciCat, maybe for the next couple of slides, you can walk us through the activity that's actually going to take place on the site and the mitigation measures that we are going to put in place at these locations to assist with traffic flow.
Thanks, Chris. Good evening, everyone. My name is SciCat Basak. I'm from the Metrolinx traffic team, and I'm going to try my best to explain to you, probably from mostly residents' point of view, what are going to be the impacts, how we are planning to mitigate them, safeguarding pedestrians, and all of that, and ultimately truck routes and timelines related to each of the truck volumes for the stages. So as Chris indicated, there are 2 main works happening at this site. The blue that you see on the top right corner, that's the portal construction site, and there will be an access point on Carlo, as you can see, with the two arrow. That's going to be the truck entrance for that side, and the purple that is kind of like closer to that former No Frills or Dollarama location, that's the station construction site, and that would have another entrance. The impact mostly here is the truck volume, and that's what we addressed working with city staff and the local stakeholders over the, I would say, probably last couple of years or so. And through that collaboration, we addressed all the safety concerns, and that's what we are presenting you here. So as I said, that it's mostly truck volume, and as mentioned here, there'd be a peak truck volume of somewhere around 180 trucks during tunneling work in late 2026. In terms of the mitigation, because the arterial roadways are kind of like located southwest corner, we needed to move these trucks further south via Carlo, and that's how we plan to do through a temporary traffic signal. So essentially, that traffic signal is going to be located where this driveway from the portal construction entrance is, somewhere near Carlo and Victor Avenue, which is essentially where the previous or former Mobile gas station was located. And with that traffic signal, we are also going to be ensuring a safe pedestrian crossing east-west at that location. And the trucks are going to be going south. I'm going to be explaining that in a moment. And in terms of the overall safety aspects there, they're definitely going to be up to 2 paid duty officers at that construction site entrance, where most of the truck volumes are going to be. And also to make sure that when the trucks are at Gerard and Carlo intersection, the pedestrians are safe, we are going to have up to 2 crossing guards there at that intersection in partnership with the city from the crossing guard program. And when the trucks are going to be coming in and out of the construction site, there are going to be scissor gates placed on both sides of the entrance so that the pedestrians can be safeguarded and stopped and don't conflict with the trucks. There are similar instances of those at other Ontario line sites, like on Queen Station, and we can come into that. Let's go to the next slide. So this is essentially the truck routes for the Gerard portal site. And as I indicated, the arterial roadways are either going south or west, and through which we can take the trucks closest to the nearest freeways, either at Don Valley Parkway or Gardner. So via going south along Carlo and then Lakeshore, they can go into Gardner, and then going west via Gerard and Bayview up to DVP. Those are the routes. And as I mentioned, that at Gerard and Carlo intersection, we're going to be stationing up to 2 crossing guards during the time when trucks are going to be moving through that intersection. Let's go to the next slide. So this essentially shows the truck volume at different stages of the construction, as Chris indicated, from now on for up to next 4 years or so. I'm not going to get into the construction details, but generally I'm going to be telling the timeline and why these truck volumes are there. And the total truck volume that you see at the bottom of the screen, these are the results of both the portal site, Gerard portal site, and also the station work. And the station volumes, truck volumes, are somewhere near 10 to 30 trucks per day. And rest of the trucks are generated by the portal work. And as indicated, the work already started. And during stage 1, it's mostly the station, like the site preparation work. We call it support of excavation work is going on, along with the station piling work. And that work is going to be up to the end of the year. And then starting early next year, which is shown here, portal stage 1A to 1C and station piling. That's the time when we are going to be essentially preparing the site on the west side. Essentially, you are going to see the temporary traffic signal being ready and PDOs on site, that kind of stuff. And the truck volume are going to be relatively lower for about 12 weeks, about 3 months. And then in the second stage, which says here, portal stage 2A, the work is going to be mostly located on the east side, where we are going to be preparing the portal location with all the support of excavation work along Pape, south of Langley. And that's going to be going on for up to 6 months next year, up to summer. At that time, the work is going to be mostly concentrated towards the side, but along PAPE as well, when the truck volume are going to be ramping up because we are going to be digging deeper. And that's also being continued up to stage 4, when most of the digging are going to be happening within the portal site. And once all of those preparations are ready, the tunnel boring machine is going to be ready to operate along PAPE, and that's going to be around spring 2028, and that's when most of the marks from the tunnel boring machine are going to be being taken out from the site. So that's essentially all of the truck activities around this site, and these numbers are obviously huge. And we are, as I mentioned, taking measures in coordination with the city along the routes as well as the intersections closest to the site to safeguard pedestrians and all other users. And obviously, all these dates are subject to change as the construction progresses. That's it from Gerard Portal. Kelly.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
ICAT.
I
So we'll
think
move
we're-
on. Next slide. Oh, sorry, Councillor.
I think we're going to stay, if the next slide isn't the portal at Gerard. Were you planning to move to the next location?
We were, but we could pause
Yeah.
here.
That's what I said. We just go through some of the questions and have those answered by direction. And I will be asking you to talk about Minton. There's 50 trucks a day. I've got a few questions there, if somebody can do that for sure. But if you could just review the directions that the trucks will be leaving and arriving, please.
Sure, Councillor. I can start answering that question, and I know Navi and other transportation staff from the city are also here. Please jump in, Navi. So generally, the trucks, as I said, there would be a temporary traffic signal at the driveway location. Let's go to the previous slide that shows the exact location, and then we could come back here. Yeah. So essentially, where that two-way blue arrows are shown, that's where the portal entrance is going to be located. We're going to have a temporary traffic signal, and from that location, trucks are going to be going south along Carlo. And when they reach at Gerard and Carlo intersection, about 50-50 or 60-40 split, the trucks are going to be going south along Carlo, and the rest of the trucks are going to be going west on Gerard. And the same way, they're going to be coming back to the site.
Thank
That's
you.
it, Councillor.
Thank you. There's a question of extra for those streets that are right across from the old Riverdale Plaza. That'd be Simpson, Langley, and Victor and Riverdale. But are you anticipating more traffic on any of those streets? Will the trucks be allowed to go on any of those local residential roads?
No, Councillor. And I noted there was a particular question about Victor, and Victor is one-way eastbound. So we are not expecting any, I would say, new traffic going on Victor, and obviously no truck traffic for sure.
Thank you. Do you have a proposed traffic signal there on Carlaw? Is that something?
Yes, Councillor. That would be located approximately where Victor is now with Carlaw, but obviously that's not going to be connected with Victor. Only there would be a pedestrian crossing there along with the accommodation for truck movements through that intersection.
You don't show that Langley crosswalk here, but I do have somebody here tonight that's very concerned because one of the trucks almost ran her down in the crosswalk. So I think that everybody's seen that. It's the speed. Don't know what their speed is supposed to be. It was the flashing crosswalk, and I guess this is an issue with crosswalks and pedestrians. So we're flagging that here tonight, and I'm sure there'll be some suggestions. I'm looking for the community for some suggestions as to how some of these trucks can be managed. I know they're not managed out of the Metrolinx office, but they are under contract through to the Ontario line. So perhaps all the Metrolinx people can start thinking about that in a bit more detail. It says proposed haul routes. Are these proposed? Are these set? How will they be finalized?
Councillor, I can probably start answering it, and any city staff and Chris or anyone, please jump in.
Mhm.
So the way, Councillor, we worked on any haul route for Ontario Line is first look through the existing like arterials, the closest arterial that we have to any construction site, nearest one, and then where trucks are essentially legally allowed. So we reviewed those, collaborated with the City Transportation Services and our construction partners, our contractors from Metrolinx, and then we proposed a haul route, and that's also been coordinated with the other nearby city works or Metrolinx works that's going on. And then we came up, I would say, a coordinated haul route that has been signed off by the city. And obviously along the route and at the intersections along the route, we made sure that there are enough provisions for safeguarding pedestrians and the other users. Like, for example, here we are having a temporary traffic signal as well as paid duty officers and traffic control person.
So it's proposed and it can always be added to, right? This is what you're doing and can be improved in some way. That will happen, correct?
Yes, Councillor.
Thank you. There's a question about work days and hours. Is it this portal 7 days a week, 5 days a week? How are you going to make sure you're not in the busiest traffic times, the morning peak? Carlaw's the only way to get to Lakeshore, and then there's some other closures at Richmond. So that I'm also going to ask the city about that one. But what are your hours of work and days of work when you're full tilt here?
Generally, Councillor, it's Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 4 to 5 p.m. That's the work hours.
And how will you deal with peak times, 7 to 9 in the morning and 4 to 6 in the afternoon?
We are one thing is that is to safeguard the pedestrians and the other users at the at that driveway across.
Well, I meant the trucks. The trucks are on. They're in mixed traffic.
Right, Councillor.
And at peak times, will you be running them at peak times or avoiding peak times?
We are going to work with the city to coordinate the truck volume, and we obviously have to work on our efficiency as well. We are going to make a balance of that, and definitely we're going to work with the city on that.
And who's in charge, you or the contractor?
So maybe
Good luck.
I'll take
Yeah,
that question.
thank
So
you.
it's a combination of us all. So it's us, it's the contractor, it's also working with the city. Councillor, you said something that was very important early into this question session about, is this fixed? Can this be changed? From our perspective, and I know along with our city colleagues, we want to be as flexible and agile as we can. If issues arise, whether it's during peak hours or off peak hours or with anything that we've implemented, we need to take that away and we need to address those issues. So just because we propose something tonight doesn't mean we can't change it as we move forward.
So I think that'll go on the issues list of time of day. Also have a very unsettling message here from the crossing guard at Logan and Withrow. And there do appear to be Metrolinx or your contractor. I know you're not driving them personally, Chris. Your contractor from the portal, or it could be from the school, from the work at Pape School that are going on Withrow. So that is something I think needs to be looked into very closely and put that on the issues list as well for immediate attention, please.
We'll take that away.
I think speaking to the crossing guard will be helpful. Question about, this is still at this portal, the dog park, and I know it's not the portal, but the dog park on the southwest corner, that will be closed for the duration at a certain point, and then it will be reopened in some fashion. So that design will come back. I'll just let everybody know that. And then student safety, in particular for at Morse Street, which is right there at Queen and Carlaw, and those trucks will be passing it. How have you baked in the student safety issue to be front and center? I don't think there's any other route that you have. Dawnlands, you have trucks coming back and Wilkinson is there, but Moore Street School is right there. So could you address that safety plan for students, please?
SciCat, I don't know if we've had any specific discussions in and around that school or that location in particular. However, it's definitely something we can take away and get back to you, Councillor, with what the plan would be for that location. But maybe SciCat, do you have any thoughts on that?
How about if we put that on the issues list and
that'd be
you
good.
could attend one of the school council meetings in order to work that through with the principal and the school council and the trustee. That works. I see
Sure.
Kelly, you're nodding your head. So
Yes,
just out of this very practical measures, that would be great. Thank you. I think that's for Gerard. There may be some more come up, but we'll leave Gerard and go to the next section, please. Thank you. And thanks everybody for your great questions and suggestions. Oh, and the hours of work is starting at 7. Yes, it does start at 7. That's when construction can start in the city. Thank you.
Correct. Okay, now we'll talk about the Bain emergency exit building. So next slide. So the Bain EEB, as we call it, or the emergency exit building, is to be located on the northeast corner of Bain and Pape. So very similar to the work that we're doing at the Gerard, our portal, as well as what we'll talk about at Cosburn Station. It's just on a much smaller scale in terms of doing a deep excavation. So installing piles that basically form a retaining wall that allow us to dig down to where our tunnel will eventually be, to create an emergency exit building for folks if something were to happen inside the tunnel and they needed to get out of the tunnel quickly. This would be the location that they would come out. So again, very similar work with the piles that need to be installed and the excavation. So generating a number of truck trips along this area or in this general area. It will require some lane closures. It will require a loss of some on-street parking. A number of mitigations that we are proposing, as you can see on the screen here, with pay duty officers, new crossings, traffic control persons, school crossings, whatnot. SciCat, can you just walk us through generally what we're talking about when it comes to traffic mitigation and traffic impacts, haul routes tied to the Bain EEB?
Thanks, Chris. Yes. So as Chris indicated, like this work is going to be located at Bain and Pape. So as you can see, this is located at the northeast corner of Bain and Pape. And it's a very constrained site. And unfortunately, we have to close the sidewalk on the east side of Pape next to the construction site, and on the north side of Bain, east of Pape. And we know that those are huge safety issues. And to address those, we worked with the city and came up with a very comprehensive safety plan. So as you know, like there is currently we call it pedestrian crossover at Bain, south of Bain across Pape, and that needs to be removed because of this sidewalk closure. So what we are proposing that ultimately we are going to have a temporary pedestrian crossover along across Pape north of Dingwall, so that the pedestrians who are going to be detoured from the east side, they can go to the west side. The same way, at the east end of the construction site across Bain, there would be another painted pedestrian crossover. And maybe I should have explained this a bit earlier. Because this site is on the east side, it makes more sense that using the arterials, you bring the truck from the south so that they can get right into the site without blocking, going opposite direction to the regular traffic, and then go out to north. We are going to explain that in the next few slides. But in terms of the, sorry, let's go back. I'm sorry. So here we are going to be providing specific safety measures with paid duty officers at Dingwall and Pape until the temporary pedestrian crossover could be in place. And there's going to be there 24/7 until pedestrian crossover is in place. And then at Bain and Pape, because we are going to be closing one lane along Bain, that paid duty officer is going to guide the drivers there safely through that intersection. And the main impact here, as Chris kind of indicated, that there would be lane closure along Pape on the east side. At most of the time, it's going to be one traffic lane closure, carb side lane. At some stages and during some time, we might need to close up to 2 lanes. And obviously, these are going to impact parking. And as Chris said, we are working to develop options. And by the time this work starts, we are going to have those in place. And we are happy to hear from you on those solutions. And maybe let's go to the next few stages to talk a little bit more. So through the next few stages, we are going to be, first of all, build the pedestrian crossover. We are going to be relocating some of the utilities, which are essentially at that corner and along Pape. That is going to be happening through this stage 2. We are going to talk about the timeline in the next few slides. Let's go to the next one. And during this stage 3 that we have seen briefly in the previous slide, we are going to be essentially placing the temporary crossover along Dingwall and at east side of the construction site along Bain. Let's go to the next slide. So at these stages, I'd say the excavation work on the site is going to happen, and that's going to generate more truck traffic. We're going to see that in the next few slides. We are going to now show you the truck route. And as I indicated earlier, that this construction site is on the east side, so it makes sense that through the nearest arterial, you bring the truck traffic. So in this case, we worked with the city and figured out that Gerrard coming from the west via Don Valley is going to be the best effective route that way. That's the shortest and make the least disruption to the neighborhood. So that's going to be coming from Gerrard, going north on Carlaw, Riverdale, and up to the Bain side on Pape, and then going out on Pape north all the way to DVP near O'Connor. In the next slide, we're going to go through the truck volume at different stages. I'm not going to go through the construction details, but starting from stage 1, we are going to do ground improvements, and that's going to generate some truck traffic. And as I mentioned earlier, in stage 2 and 3, we are going to be relocating some utilities and then putting the temporary pedestrian crossover at Dingwall. And then starting stage 4, the support of excavation work and piling is going to start. And throughout that period, especially in stage 5, the deep excavation through that, as you can see, especially constraint side, that's going to happen. And that's going to generate about 70 trucks per day. And ultimately, when the tunnel boring machine comes through that site, in stage 3, we're going to take out the excavated material from there, which is going to be happening around 2028 summer. That's it for me. Chris, please.
Let's go to just some of the general questions. I think there's an issue around the buses and the impact on the TTC. And I guess I don't know who's going to answer that, if that's you, Navi, or Derek, or SciCat. You've had a look at that impact on buses.
Yeah, I can probably start, Councillor.
Pardon?
If we can, I can start, Councillor, and Navi could probably supplement. If we could go back to probably 2 slides where we are showing temporary TTC stop.
Yeah, if there's a lane closed on Pape or lanes are closed, do you have a plan with the TTC?
Yeah. Sorry, let's go to the next one. Any of those would going to work. So essentially, there are 2 bus stops. One is northbound at Pape and Bain, as you can see, which is kind of like shown that it's not going to be continued anymore. In the same way, southbound at Bain, there is another bus stop. Both of these are going to be impacted. And in coordination with the city and TTC, we are proposing to relocate them to the next nearest intersection. So essentially the southbound stop, instead of at Bain, is going to be located at Dingwall, and the northbound stop is going to be, I believe, at Withrow during the construction.
Great, thank you. And everybody will see that. Apparently there's trucks that are parking on both sides of the street on Pape near the Bain Avenue exit, and it's causing some traffic issues. So that needs to be looked at. People can't see to get in and out of the street in their cars.
We'll take that away.
Yeah, that just goes on the big issues list that needs to get fixed up pretty quickly.
No problem.
I'm also just wondering about the start of work, because you did say 7 o'clock, but someone has told me that the work at Riverdale Plaza is starting at 5 o'clock in the morning. Can you confirm the start time? It's not 5, or is it 5? Because technically you can't go in and start and idle your trucks and do everything. You can start work at 7, but you can't set your pre-work up between 5 and 7. So do you address that?
Correct. Correct. So I think that's something that we'll need to take away and chat with our contractors about, or chat with other folks in the area. You know, are they seeing that? Is that occurring on a regular basis? To your point, if construction is to start at 7, then any activity prior to that should be, if there is any activity prior to that, should be non-intrusive. You know, no noise, nothing to that effect. So we shouldn't have trucks idling or doing any of that noisy type work prior to the start of the day. But we'll take that away.
Would you send that letter of some kind, because somebody is living close by and has told us that, yes, that's happening. And that does happen quite a bit. Contractors think, oh, I can just come and get ready to start, but actually start time is 7 o'clock and we can't do that. How about cycling in this area? Could you address how you've looked at cycling on these streets with all this going on, please?
Kat, do you have any thoughts on that?
Sure, Chris. Councillor, as you know, like on Pape, there is no dedicated bike lane. Cyclists in pre-construction scenario, they were sharing the traffic lane with the motorist, and it's going to be the same accommodation during the construction. And
yeah, I'm talking about just safety now, because the trucks, we've noticed that there's issues with pedestrians. And so how are all of your contractors being informed about cycling?
So maybe I'll take that one away, Kat, just to provide context. So that's obviously a big concern for us anytime we are operating these types of vehicles in these types of dense neighborhoods. Vulnerable users are high on our list. It's one of the guiding principles of our truck safety plan. We do regular safety briefings with our contractors. We do toolbox talks. We actually have what we call an executive level safety group of all the contractors, and we meet once a month. And truck safety is always a topic of discussion. So when we talk about safety of vulnerable users, whether it's pedestrians, cyclists, or any other folks, especially in these areas, we do educate the drivers. We do educate our contractors on what it is that they need to do to be aware that these types of users will be in the area. We do our briefings with them regularly. They have on-site orientations to make them aware of the types of hazards that they could experience at any given time, not just at the site, but as they're traveling to and from the sites. You know, where those higher pedestrian volume numbers are, say at like Pape and Danforth, be aware of the hazards at these locations. So I know the contractors take this very seriously. We take it very seriously. We do educate all of our contractors. They educate their subcontractors on all of the hazards that are out there, because it's very difficult. Kelly raised it at the beginning with our safety moment. Whenever you're dealing with these large vehicles in these small, dense urban environments, you know, there's a lot of blind spots. and our contractors are made aware of that. As much as we want to, ensure that, cyclists or pedestrians are paying attention and making the eye contact with us, it's incumbent upon us and our drivers to make sure that we are operating as safe as we can possibly be. So we do take that seriously, and we do drive that home during all of our safety briefings with our contractors.
Thank you very much, Chris. I think that everybody really wants to nail down increased safety with trucks from this meeting, and there's suggestions coming in, and I think we'll have something compiled that will be sending a letter, or I'll be asking City Council to support at the end of there. So I just want to go now to, did you answer the issue of parking on both sides of Bain and making blind spots? I think you did, or are you putting that first to look at how you're going to do it?
It's on the issues list. It's on the issues list, and definitely something we'll investigate.
Okay, thank you. Let's move now to our Cosburn station, and perhaps, even though there's might not be a slide on it, you could also address the Minton Place, 50 trucks a day through there. And I think that construction has been ongoing. There have been other meetings with these other locations, like Pape and Danforth. We had one with the trucks, and I think we discussed the Salmon as well, and Minton, because that work is underway. These three that we're talking about now, the really heavy duty hauling is going to start very shortly. So that's why they're on, but there's no question that's wrong, and we want everybody to have as much information as possible. So when you do Cosburn, could you also include some discussion around Minton, please?
Yeah, and Councillor, maybe I'll just jump in on that point. We are happy to amend this presentation in this format to include the information we've shared publicly on Minton Place and others as well. I've been addressing that in the questions that we're receiving. I'm happy to also share where some of this information on those sites lives on our website already, but really open to making sure that everybody is very aware. So we'll do that as well.
Thank you. Thank you, Kelly, because we do have quite a few people that haven't been to one of the meetings before, and they'll want that info. There's also, which will just trucks wise, let's deal with this first and then come back to some of the general questions. Thank you.
Sure. Let's talk about Cosburn
Sarah,
Station.
Sarah has her hand. Did you want to talk about something related
Yeah,
to
I
Bain
wanted
before we
to
move
jump
on?
in. Thank you, Councillor. Just on the point that Ms. Hagan had made around including the other information, I wanted to specifically request that we include the Pape Station peak truck count divided by seasonality, which on the website is 152, which, if I understand correctly, is separate from the Bain and Pape 28 to 70 truck count in fall 2026, as well as 20 to 27, 28, and also separate from the Cosburn Pape Danforth truck count, which is 114 in fall 2026, 116, 20, 27, 28. So just to make sure that people can see how many are in particular going along the Danforth, which was one of the items mentioned in the questions. And thank you very much.
Yeah, we'll include Pape and Minton.
We'll look at the totals on Pape because it's very heavily used for the construction. There's also another question coming up of the gate at Pape and Danforth, but we'll deal with that one a bit later. Thanks, Chris, for being patient. Go ahead.
No problem. So Pape and Cosburn, this is where we're building our station at that location. So on the west side of Pape Avenue, between Gowan Avenue and Gamble Avenue, a number of different phases that we need to go through for the construction of this station, as you'll see in the next number of slides. Again, a lot of information on these slides, so when we distribute them, take them away, review them. If you have questions after reviewing them, please reach out to us. I know it's hard to digest all the information that we're sharing today, so just as a reminder to folks. So similar to the other locations, the bulk of the work that's going to happen at these locations, primarily related to truck traffic, is the installation of our retaining walls around the edges of our excavation sites, and then the actual excavation of the soil to dig down to the area where our tunnels will ultimately pass under this area. So very similar work that's also taking place at Minton Portal right now. So I'll try to weave Minton Portal into this as well. That work is already underway where they're installing the retaining walls around the area where they will start to excavate down where the trains will actually exit the underground section and then transition to the bridges that are currently being constructed across the Don Valley. So very similar work throughout this entire segment of work where we're building retaining walls and then digging deep down to where our station location or where our tunnels are going to be, which generates a number of truck trips and truck traffic to do that work. So I'm going to call upon SICAD again, who's doing most of the talking when it comes to mitigations and truck impacts and truck haul routes to walk you through what we're going to do here or what we're proposing to do here at Cosburn Station.
Thanks, Chris. As Chris indicated, and you can see from the sketch here, the construction is concentrated on the west side of Pape, north of Guan and south of Campbell. And essentially, that's where the impact's gonna be. It's the west sidewalk along that portion of Pape needs to be closed, and we need to make sure that the pedestrians are safe at those locations. They can go on the other side safely, and to essentially accommodate the construction there and take the trucks in and out activities safer, we need to keep 2 lanes closed there on the west side of Pape. And that's essentially going to happen over the next 4 years. And it also going to bring parking spaces removed along that portion of Pape, which are mostly pay and display parking. We are working with the Toronto Parking Authority to provide them compensation on the lost revenue. Now, coming back to the safety aspect of it, as I said, the west sidewalk is going to be closed between Gamble and Guan on Pape to ensure safe crossing of pedestrians at all of those locations. We worked with the city to come up with 3 temporary pedestrian crossovers at the 3 extreme ends of the construction site. As you can see with those marked with X and with yellow highlights, those are the temporary pedestrian crossover locations: south of Gowan, north of Gamble, and on Cosburn. I believe that's approximately 100 Cosburn. That's where that PXO is going to be, or pedestrian crossover is going to be located. And there are going to be some impact to some of the existing bus stops, and those are going to be relocated to the nearest location. And we obviously coordinated with the city and TTC on that. The other impact is along Cosburn. The space is so narrow, we can't maintain safely the bike lanes at that location. So the bike lanes are going to be merged with the traffic lanes there. It's going to be wider than usual, so cyclists can safely maneuver side by side with the cars there. And one of the sidewalks along Cosburn for that small stress west of Pape is going to be impacted. It's depending on the stages of the work, but one of the sidewalks is not going to be available during those next 4 years. And as I said, there'll be temporary pedestrian crossover there to facilitate the safe crossing of pedestrians. And with that, I'm going to probably quickly go over the construction stages, but the impacts and mitigation are already covered, so I'm not going to spend time much on this, but we can definitely come back later if there are specific questions.
Yes, like that. I'm just going to say those crosswalks were the result of one of these meetings and were suggested by the community in order to have safe crossing. And then the city has worked with you to put them in. So they're very valuable to hear suggestions tonight around safety, pedestrian safety, cycling safety, for us to be able to deal with this massive project in our neighborhoods. Thanks. Go ahead.
Sure, Councillor. Thank you. Yeah, we obviously work with your office, the residents, and the city staff to make our proposals better, safer, and efficient all the time. Thank you all for that. So essentially, in the first few stages, they're going to be doing the prep works to place those temporary pedestrian crossover, and then work on the sites to get them ready for the excavation, doing the support of excavation work. And that would also require some decking along Cosburn, either on north or south side. That's being shown in these stages. And that would mean the traffic along Cosburn is going to be detoured either on the south side of Cosburn or north side. And as I indicated, the cyclists have to share the traffic lanes when they're cycling. Let's go to the next slide. So in terms of the impacts, these are pretty similar, and essentially, as I say, the support of excavation works are happening first, and then in stage 4, the deep excavation is going to be there, and that's where the truck volumes are going to be ramping up. So we are going to see at the last slide here the truck volumes at the different stages, and also the truck routes. So let's go to the truck routes at the next slide. And this is the, okay, I'm going to skip that stage 5. In terms of the impacts, it's pretty similar to the other stages, only I believe there wouldn't be any impact on Cosburn anymore during that stage. And here's the truck routes. And as you can imagine, we are using the nearest possible arterial and the freeway ramp to take the trucks in and out, and trucks are coming right in here, so they're not impeding the traffic from the opposite direction. They're getting into the site and they're getting out along Pape, and they're using Danforth to go on to Don Valley Parkway. That's essentially the truck route, and I probably missed this part. I'm going to mention it now. At each of the driveways, especially at Cosburn and Pape, we are going to have a paid duty officer to guide the safely maneuvering the vehicles along with trucks and pedestrians. And there are going to be multiple traffic control person at each of the driveways and where there are going to be pedestrian crossing facilities. Let's go to the last slide where we're going to. So I talked about the construction stages here, and as you can see, over the next 4 years plus, these construction activities are going to happening. The truck volume ramps up towards fall 2026, when the deep excavation is going to be happening, which is similar to the other 2 sites. And then it also continues through the station construction, which is starting in summer 2027 for about 4 years. So that's essentially it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, do we want to take questions tied to Cosburn and Minton? And just for to reiterate what Kelly had said, we will include the Minton
There is
in the deck.
Yes, the deck will come out. Everybody will see that deck. I just wondered about the 50 trucks a day at Minton. There seems to be some surprise about that, and that there was an original route and it seems to have been changed to come off of Pape. So could you just address that one, please?
Okay, the SciCat, not to put you on the spot, but has there been an adjustment made to the PayPal route that we're aware of?
Well, for Minton.
Sorry, for Minton, but off of Pape.
Because you're now digging down to get the bridge built,
Correct.
I think.
Correct.
Councillor, so far I'm aware that we worked with the city staff to make sure that the trucks are coming essentially through one route, and we have signage along all the routes, and there are some deviations we noted, and then those were corrected, and we worked with the contractor. And I'm not going to put anyone, any transportation staff on spot, but if Navi or Sheikh, if you guys want to add anything, I'm not aware of any route change for Minton Place truck hauling.
Yeah, nothing to add, SciCat. I'm not aware of any deviations from the route, but if the concern has been reported, then definitely we can take it back and
Right.
review it. And I encourage you guys to do the same with your construction team.
So on that point, definitely, if the public, I'll say this for any of our routes at any of our locations, if the public is seeing a deviation from what we've identified as being an approved haul route, then definitely let us know. Let us know those locations. Provide us with as many specifics as you can so we can track that down. I know early on at Mitten, we had some challenges with Stanhope and Hopedale and some trucks that were not using the approved haul route. We did install a number of warning and advisory signs in advance of those locations to point the truck drivers to the appropriate haul route so they would stop using those routes. I think that has been effective. We've heard it's been effective. That doesn't mean that we don't have the odd truck who may deviate away, but if that happens, please let us know. If we know, we can track it and then we can correct that behavior. That's really the key to this as well. So please let us know if you have those details.
I think somebody's in the chat that yelled at someone that was off route, and then I don't know if they got the finger, but they got yelled at by the driver. And I think that's unacceptable. So what we're hearing here today, Chris, is that despite your haul route plan out of the dreadful accident on February, that trucks are still leaving the haul route, that the current haul routes, a PAPE, and now you're adding all of these new haul routes on. And I think that everybody here tonight is going to want to see you tighten up the traffic and tighten up your control over trucks. And I'm going to ask you if you happen to know what's in the contracts, what can you change? What's your ability to require certain stricter requirements on trucks by you as Metrolinx for your contractors? Do you have any leeway in your contracts currently or not?
So we do have some leeway. It depends on the type of contract we're talking about. We have a number of contracts that have already been let up and down PAPE in particular.
So if the ones on PAPE, what's your flexibility in requiring things on those trucks?
Right. And again, it depends on the contract that we're talking about. However, we are working with all of our contractors.
Well, let's just talk about GIP.
About GIP in particular.
Yep. PAPE and
GIP is actually investigating a number of different measures that they can install. One that we're really intrigued about, and we're trialing it and seeing whether or not they can actually be rolled out to the broader Ontario line is GPS tracking. So if we can have some type of GPS tracking inside our vehicles where we can do real-time monitoring or geofencing, that would alert us to deviations from haul routes. That would be the ultimate scenario for us to prevent these types of situations, or at least understand when these situations are occurring. There are challenges tied to that in terms of the types of vehicles and using brokers versus contractor-owned vehicles. Those are things that we're sorting through right now. Even the concept of decaling certain vehicles, we're looking at those options so that we can actually see, is that in fact an Ontario line truck, or is it a truck tied to some other type of construction site? So we do have some flexibility. And the contractors recognize that as well, and they're working with us to identify how can we be better at ensuring that we know which trucks are with which site, and then also how do we have something that doesn't require just the eyes of the public or just our eyes doing spot checks to ensure that everybody is complying. So there is stuff in the works, and we do have some flexibility within inside our contracts.
Navi, I'm just going to ask you this question because on city fleets, let's say snow removal, garbage trucks, there are signs that are under contract to the city of Toronto, correct?
That is correct, Councillor. Yep.
So I think there'll be we'll see how people feel about that under contract to Metrolinx, because then we all know that that's the Ontario line, or under contract to the Ontario line. I think there's a lot of people here tonight that really they love transit, they want transit, but they want the community to be safe during this construction. And we've heard so many trucks off route that I think we are hearing that that is still a major problem. We're lucky nobody's been hurt. Somebody was almost run down in the crosswalk on Langley. So I know since you have a safety moment, you consider that to be very important. And I think we'll be keeping a lot of pressure on you to live up to your safety goals. Just can you tell us a little bit more about trucks on the Danforth? Because even though we're talking about 3 sites, we've got Minton in there now. And the Pape site, I gather you've got some large trucks on the Danforth, and it's quite a business district. So what are those and how long are they going to be there?
Right. So similar to Minton portal and others, I think we'll have to amend our existing presentation to get you that information. We don't necessarily have that at our fingertips today to provide you with all of that data, but we're happy to follow up and amend the presentation to provide that data.
Thank you very much for that. Really appreciate you you be willing to do. So we do have a little bit of an issues list here that we're working on, and got Minton done. Some of the putting a no truck sign on some of the streets would also be clear, although often trucks don't read signs. So probably some of your other digital things may end up being much better. Could you just tell us if the spoils, they're called spoils, I've learned that, spoils, that are they covered when they're leaving, or are they just open and blowing around? And is any of these soils or spoils contaminated, such as the ones at Riverdale Plaza, which had a gas station there? So how are you managing the contamination, if any?
So regardless of whether or not the soil is contaminated or clean or determined to be clean, any load which leaves our construction sites must be tarped. That's full stop. There is no excuse for a vehicle hauling any material from our site not to be tarped, not to have appropriate tie downs, and quite frankly, it is the responsibility of the safety monitor on the site or the construction monitor on the site talking to each individual truck as they leave to ensure that they are complying. That's just the law. So that's not even a discretionary thing. That is absolutely mandatory that any vehicle leaving our site has the appropriate tie downs in place, has the appropriate tarps in place to ensure that no debris leaves those vehicles as they exit. So regardless of whether or not it's a hazardous situation or not, it must all be fully contained.
Thank you. I just want to go back to Minton Place for a minute, because there's Route A and Route B as an alternative route up at Minton Place, where they can have the option to travel along Pape to Hopedale and then leave on Minton. Why does it have this special designation? Will everybody be notified in the neighborhood of any kind of changes or how the routes are going? This is a 100%, it's not an arterial. These are local residential streets that are being used for Minton compared to Danforth or Pape, Carlaw, Gerard. So would you address that one, please?
So I think we may need some specifics tied to that. Sorry, Kelly, I saw you come off.
Yeah, no, I would just say, Councillor, like, absolutely. I mean, if any of these routes or haul routes need to be adjusted or changed for any particular reason, that does not get made without reviewing the truck haul safety plan again, working closely with the city and communicating with the neighbors. So we have an established process of communicating with neighbors in that area already. And if something needs to change, we will absolutely be engaging with the residents in that area to explain very clearly why it might need to change and what any new mitigations might need to be put in place as a result of that.
Thank you. And garbage pickup on any of the routes that have lane reductions or curb closures, who's managing that? So we have the garbage picked up.
Yeah, I mean, I think I can jump in, and that's why the community engagement team is here. I mean, if we know that there is going to be a challenge with current garbage pickup, the residents in the neighborhood are the first to tell us. You're the ones that, need to take your garbage bins out to the street. And if something's occurring that's not allowing that to happen, then we're here to work very closely with the city staff and with the contractors to facilitate. We've done lots of, again, I spoke at the beginning of this meeting that site by site things are going to happen in a moment. But we're here to make sure that you can still live and do the daily things that are needed, like garbage pickup. We have worked with the contractors where they've helped move the bins to a different site and help move those back to the residents' driveways or location for garbage. So if there is an immediate challenge or a situation that occurs at any site where garbage pickup is challenged, then let us know that, or we will investigate that and we'll work with the city to find an alternative arrangement. Your garbage should be able to be picked up when you're signaled and scheduled for it to be picked up. If we need to alter or make arrangements or changes with that, we do that very closely with waste management at the city and our contractors.
Thank you. And I know you have a construction liaison around construction, but I think out of tonight, people are adding up I can see the number of trucks, of which streets, how many trucks, that it is really a large number of trucks in order to build this transit in this community. And maybe there needs to be a haul route community liaison committee where everybody's able to come in just to talk about the trucks rather than some of the other things that we talk about. Rats sometimes, we talk about different things, but the trucks themselves, because even if you're not around a station, you're still going to see the impact of that. So I'll put that on that issues list. And then one of the questions very early on was about the gate that was put at Pape and Danforth by GIP. A surprise to the people who live around there. I wonder if that's possible. It's a gate on Gertrude Place was recently added, despite the fact that the haul route during the excavation would be maintained on Danforth and Pape, and there's no signal going from Gertrude onto Pape. So that's a concern about trucks that are going on Gertrude Place to Pape. Does somebody want to answer that haul route question from Pape? If you can, please.
Yeah, we're aware of the gate at Gertrude Place, which, to my understanding, and maybe I'd look to our city colleagues if they have any supporting information on this, but was approved as part of the original haul route way back when. Now it is a limited gate; it's not used very often, but if it's causing a concern, then that's definitely something that we can take away, take a look at the operations, see how it's being used. Are there other mitigations that we can put in place to mitigate any type of impacts there? But happy to take a fresh look at that.
Yeah, and Chris,
we do. Sorry, Kelly.
That's okay. Can I just add to that? I mean, I think our contractors had an idea that they would maybe use that gate sooner than, was previously communicated. We've worked with the contractor to ensure that that doesn't get used sooner. And we want to. The reason why we're here is to hear these sorts of things. As Chris said, sometimes extra gates or gates to be used on occasion is necessary for a whole host of reasons. But for those of you who live along Gertrude who would be perhaps impacted by the use of that gate, I'm going to take that away as an action and an issue here, Councillor, to make sure that we put into place a plan that's going to make it very clear with a lot of notice for any of the residents if and when that gate actually needs to be used.
Thank you. And that is, there's a CLC that can happen at. Peter, you'd like to weigh in on this one? Oh, you're muted.
I'm now unmuted.
You're unmuted.
I didn't mean to interrupt. You folks have been carrying this on really well, but there's been a number of questions raised about truck traffic on Withrow and Dingwall between Pape and Carlaw. Real concern there. The question seems to be a very high volume now. What's going to be happening with that in the future?
I think we heard that earlier, and it's definitely on the list of issues for us to take away and investigate. why there are trucks using those. Why are they there? Are they part of Ontario Line? And then figuring out the reasons, for their presence. So definitely on our list of takeaways, and we'll have to return to you folks with an answer shortly.
Okay, thank you very much.
The good news is if you identify your trucks, then everybody won't say every truck is your truck, Chris. So I
That's very
think
true.
we're onto something there, because people are very heightened to this. And there you go. We just have that answered now. Thank you, Peter, for bringing that one up. There's a lot of trucks near, and I wonder if these are your trucks, near Jones between Gerrard and Dundas in the early morning. Do you have trucks on Jones at the moment?
Cat, are you aware of any trucks on Jones as part of our work these days?
I see that for the GIPUR, Councillor, there's a route that's coming from Jones to the Pape and Danforth side. We can take it back and check with them and get back to you with a confirmed answer.
Great. I am really going to suggest, Kelly, that there is an actual CLC for trucks, because it's not, everybody has an experience, and I think it's helpful to be able to do that with everybody who wants the information, and to hear how you've been able to follow up on a lot of the good suggestions that are being made here tonight for truck safety, because there are hundreds and hundreds of trucks that are going to be doing your jobs in this neighborhood. And
yeah, and Councillor, this is the value of why, I am here tonight, because I do need to listen, and already my mind is spinning with lots of new opportunities and things that we can do to stay very connected to the community here on this particular topic. I think, Councillor, you're 100% right. You said it earlier. We can talk all day long about the Ontario Line and building transit, but when you unpack and you think about the things that really matter, trucks and haul routes and safety. There was a comment that I saw around the image I shared at the beginning in our safety moment, and how do we get that out there more, and how do we use our communications channels to really bring awareness to safety and to the realities. I mean, this is the reality of construction and transit building. And I am the first to say, like, those people and individuals who live very closely are bearing a great burden for what we are trying to deliver for the future. And it is our duty to make sure that we are communicating better, more often, in the way that you need it, and create these avenues for it. So I'm going to take that away, Councillor, with my team. I'm already noodling some ideas I think that we could probably do to create a greater focus on this particular topic as we continue to advance.
And then there's a question about, you can call in about different things, the rats, the dust, etc. But around the trucks, Lena has a good suggestion. So I'm just adding that onto the list, that maybe there's just a hotline once you've identified trucks. For sure, it'll be hot for a while, but hopefully they'll learn to stay on the haul routes, because we can't not have these trucks on our residential streets. So thanks for that suggestion, Lena. Can we just go to the next piece, the environmental strategies? Because we did have a question about, are these tarped trucks? And you said, yes, they are, but here's all the dust and everything else that's going on. We'll just take a minute to look at that, and then we'll go start to wind.
Agreed. Apparently I'm sitting too still in my office because my lights just turned off and I can't seem to get them to turn back on somehow, some way. So my hand waving is not doing it. So I apologize if all of a sudden I'm dark because the lights just turned off. So the next two slides before we get into the more general Q&A, just talking about some of the things that we're doing, trying to ensure that the work that we're doing in these neighborhoods are not impacting your neighborhoods. Or our neighbors, too much. It's always disruptive work. So environmental mitigation strategies that we implement at all of our sites. Got some different photos on the screen there. Dust suppression, having water trucks available when we're doing dusty work. air quality monitors, noise and vibration monitors, sediment membranes in the catch basins to ensure that if there's any runoff from our site, that it doesn't go into the storm sewers and then go into different water courses. So we have a number of different mitigations that we implement along with our contractors to mitigate these types of disturbances to the neighborhood. But Kelly had mentioned it, Councillor, you have mentioned it as well. I think it's very important that as much as we have our ideas and thoughts around how we do these things, we want to hear from you folks as well. You know, what's working, what's not working, where do we need to be better in certain areas, and that's really the importance of these sessions. This is where we do get good feedback. So Kelly had mentioned that she's already doodling on a few things. I'm already noodling on a few things as well, even though my lights are off. You know, we do take these sessions very seriously because it's the feedback from the public that really drives our improvements. So if you have ideas, you have thoughts, you know, if there are areas where you think that we could be better, let us know. We need that feedback in order to improve. So I'll say that about the environmental mitigation strategies that we're talking about here. And if we flip to the next slide, the same is true for anything tied to safety. You know, we've talked a lot about traffic safety and mitigations in and around our various sites, whether it's implementing traffic control personnel, paid duty officers implementing pedestrian crossings, new signals, you know, all of those great things that we do. A lot of those suggestions coming in from the public, coming in from the councilor's office, coming in from our colleagues at the city, you know, providing with some good guidance based upon their experience, you know, and then providing, you know, more informational signage. You can see the one sign that's on the right side there about schools back, right? So we know that there are certain times a year where we need to ramp up our discussion about trucks because there are certain situations happening. Schools back is a very, very important one to us. So getting that information out, not just at our construction sites, but through CLCs and through all of our other community engagement initiatives to just get that message out to folks. And most importantly, if you're seeing something, say something to us, let us know. If it's not working, we'll correct it. So maybe I'll stop there. I'll pass it back to the councillor. Kelly, I don't know, maybe if you want to add one last piece there.
Maybe I'll just add, you know, the image you're seeing on the right there about schools back, slow down, look twice. This was a bit of an initiative and a campaign that we did directly with our contractors. So this is a sign that's on their side of the hoarding, it's on their gate, and it was what we call a toolbox talk. So this is really kind of where our contractors have hands down. You know, I've stood on lots of our sites with all the supervisors and foremen and the men and women who are working on the sites, and we have real conversation with them about what's important, what do they need to look for, and what do they need to pay attention to. And this was a bit of a campaign that really was important to us as we know schools were coming back. But it is not one that we ever put our hands or pens down on. It's not just when school's back in September. It's all the time. So these sessions are super important for us because not only do I get to think about where public campaigns can be more in place, where we can show up where you are more. It also allows me to think about what more do I need to be doing, or what more can we and Chris and our construction colleagues do with our contractors at those toolbox talks.
Thank you, Kelly. I just want to know what the penalty is for going off the haul route. Or is that driver removed from hauling from that site?
Yeah. So in general, that's the result. So if we have a driver who has gone through the orientation, so every driver coming to and leaving our sites gets an orientation from the on-site monitor that informs them of the haul route, informs them, you know, where they should or where all the hazards are, and oh, by the way, you know, if you deviate from the haul route, that the penalty for that is in fact that you'll be asked to leave the site. There are certain situations where maybe it's the first time for somebody arriving, and we'll review that information If it's severe enough, we'll ask them to leave as well. If it's a minor incident and they're just not aware, then we will educate them on the spot, make them aware of what's happening. And if they do it again, then they're gone. But if you have received the training, especially when you just leave the site and we give you a map of where you should come from and go to, and you still violate the haul route, you are not welcome back on our construction sites.
Any of the sites, you can't bump down to another.
Any of the sites.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Thank you very much. We're really coming to the end of this. It's been very informative. We've got a good issues list. There's a whole number of things to do. And this is all these folks here today. They all watch the streets. We don't know how to dig holes and use all those big things, but we sure know our neighborhoods from streets. And we want to keep the haul routes safe and have safe haul routes in our neighbors while you're building this transit. I'm just going to go to some of the suggestions we've heard tonight and ask people to weigh in on those. And we'll do that. Here's which ones would you be supportive of? Clear labels on contracted trucks, GPS tracking on vehicles, off-route trucks hotline, commitment for better response time, additional truck safety signage, no truck signs on roads, blind spot monitoring, haul route construction liaison committee. You can vote for one or all, and then I just want to know if you were aware of the truck haul routes before we had this meeting tonight, how you were aware, or is this just your first time to learn about these? And we'll just give you a minute to do that. Peter, while everybody's voting, do you want to have got something that you'd like to wrap up with, or just wait till we're voting and be able to comment on that?
Well, I don't need to comment on the voting, Paul. I think you've got a good list there. I'd be surprised if people didn't check off all of them. But there's a post here from Margaret about sediment membranes being put on the catch basins on Hopedale and how they've had street flooding. And I'll just note to the folks from Metrolinx, this is an issue that we had on Eaton Avenue well over a year ago. And in fact, we had really bad flooding into people's basements. And at the time we had a discussion about it, and we were assured that the membranes would be cleared regularly. Now, I'm going to guess that the contractor up on Hopedale is not the one who was down on Eaton Avenue. But in the end, that doesn't matter. Metrolinx should be making sure that they have best practice at each site. So I would ask Metrolinx, check all those sites so that we don't get this flooding coming up on a regular basis when we know what causes it and what needs to be done to prevent it. And while I've got the floor, Paula, thank you very much for pulling this together and for running the meeting well. I want to thank the Metrolinx and Toronto staff for being here tonight, answering questions. Very much appreciated.
Thank you, Peter, and thank you for leaving the legislature and being with us tonight. I think we have the answers here. I'm going to post those. You can see them. Oh, lots of support here. Very good for all these things. It's great. And I think that's very good. And some people didn't know about those haul routes, and most of you think that was helpful or somewhat helpful, and thank you for that. I'm just going to thank my team here, Tamara and Elliot, who are behind the scenes and running this whole thing, doing a great job, and Sara, call on you for a few closing remarks, and then we'll end our meeting.
Thank you very much, Councillor Fletcher. And I want to say a big thank you to our community. There are 121 open QAs, many with active questions. We're looking for answers, but also some suggestions in there. And so I know that's something that we'll get to see, and it will be helping to inform what I write to Metrolinx following this meeting, and also what I write to the TDSB supervisor. So I will use a bit of this time just to contextualize that the TDSB has been taken over with a provincial supervisor. And I say that because I will attempt to share all of this information with school principals, school councils, and the TDSB supervisor. But, and this will come as no surprise to Metrolinx, I've been advocating for some time that Metrolinx work with the schools to develop educational materials or information that schools can use to raise awareness of truck and vehicle safety throughout the height of Metrolinx construction. Prior to supervision, I know principals were willing to share evidence-based information if it can be provided to them. And so I am continuing to look to Metrolinx to help, not just with educating your drivers, but in helping to educate our broader community. Children go outside at lunch, particularly in middle schools and secondary schools, and we need to get as much information out as we can during the height of this construction. There's many good ideas that are coming forward, but I would be remiss if I didn't put that challenge forward again today. I look forward to continuing to participate in dialogue on this. And I just want a big thank you to Councillor Fletcher for bringing up a haul route CLC and different ways that we can continue to get information out there around this anticipated activity and how we can keep our community safe. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sarah. And we will have the deck available. There'll be a lot of things available to everyone who signed up. And I just want to put a plug in and say, with all of these trucks that we're hearing tonight, it's just a shame that we can't have speed cameras, because that captures exactly what you're doing. So Kelly, the emphasis is going to be now, you've got to do that on every truck rather than one on each street. And I appreciate you being here, everybody from Metrolinx, everybody from the city, Sarah and Peter. We talk about this a lot. We're always trying to be on top of these issues. And really and truly, CLC for trucks to get this all right would be very helpful. And you've seen all those suggestions. So I'm sure you'll be getting some letters from us. Everybody will get the deck. Go Jays go. Can I say that? Yes, I can, on Friday. And thanks so much for being here with us tonight. Many people interested, and this was a very good start for community safety with this mega project, which I think impacts our community more than anybody else. There's more residential homes, businesses, small businesses along these routes. And there's only one way to get to the lakeshore, and that's down Carla. So getting in and out of our place is hard because we have railway tracks, we have a river, we have all these different things, and it really needs a fine touch. And Kelly, I'm going to count on you for helping to deliver that for our community. And thanks everybody for being here tonight. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.